Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some reports in Jira Service Management. Now, when you actually go to the reports, you have some default reports there. If you have Atlassian Analytics, you'll also be able to actually see the Atlassian Analytics as well. But you also have the option to actually create your own custom reports. When we are actually going for the workload, for example, this is, well, the workload, and you can actually see for each agent how many work items they actually have in progress. So from here we can actually see the Mitch Davis, for example, has 15 items in progress, and anyone else, well, actually has 0, including myself. Which is not really something that should be happening, right? So with this report, I would say don't really actually show this report in here. Now, of course, there is for the customer satisfaction, I don't have in here, but this is also something that could be really useful in those terms. So we also have the requests deflected in the portal, and we can also see the article views from the portal, which is really interesting to see because you also have the option to export this in the CSV. So you can do that, or you actually don't have to. I really find this article views from portal really interesting to use. This is a report that I actually was using when I was, doing some reporting for the stakeholders. But more importantly, you actually want to see how many of those requests were definitely resolved. You can see all of the zeros in here because I wasn't resolving any of this because this is the boilerplate project, and these numbers in here, they're going to be different for you. Now, you also have the option to create the report itself. So for example, I can actually call this my report. Now, what I can do from here is add the series in here. And in the Jira Service Management, actually, there are different series that we can actually add in here. Yeah, hold on, let me just adjust this mic properly. Yeah. So what you can actually do from here, we have the series, and when you click, you also have the drop down where you have predefined series, which is either created or result. You also have customer satisfaction series, which is also the average rating. And time metrics series, where you have time to resolution, which is an average, time to resolution, the percent that is met, time to resolution that was actually breached. So this is something that is interesting. And now from here, you can go either for specific work items or JQL from SLA goal. You can also check between basic and JQL. Let's make this more easier. So you can define the different projects in here. So it doesn't have to be actually only one project. It could be different projects in here. So I can be time to resolution, and I can say that basically this is breached. And I can add this, and as you can see from here, right away it says the 21 of them were breached. So it even says in here that I have it. So this is the date in here and time to resolution. So I have more series that I actually want to add in here. So there is time to resolution that was actually being met. So I can say TTR, and I can be met. I'll let this be green. And facilities project. Add that as well. Unfortunately, none of them were met. That's really a good sign. Okay, if I go for more, I can go and say the ones that were created, and I can say created. And now I can say for which project this is, right? And also I have more filters, for example. So I can say something different. These are, you also have, so let's say like created within the last, and I can say here within the last 30 weeks, and I can be like update. So I can add that as well. So that means 0 of them were created. But I have this statistic that says, well, 21 of them were actually breached and none of them were met. This is something that we should be taking action on, and this is something that is not good. So we need to make sure that we actually fix this issue. And of course, this is something that is, of course, fixable, something that can, of course, could be done. And when we are done, we can click on create now. So it's now being called my report. And now if you actually go here, you have the option to definitely see which of these were breached. We can see its key, what is the summary, who is the reporter, who was the assignee, what was the request type, and this is the breach time. And this is the breach time in hours. So if you actually return to the summary table, this is something that we can definitely see. Now, we also have the option, let's say, create a past month. And now we have different results in here. We now have that in the past month, we can now see a different option where it says that 30 of them were breached, but also 89 of the time to resolution was actually being met. So the SLA was not being breached, and 105 were actually being created. So that is a good metric in there. Not bad. So of course, if you go more past quarter by week, so you can actually do that as well. And you can select where it says week starting on September 1st, week starting on September 8th, and so on and so forth. Past year by month, and there we go. It's also saying when it was. So for example, August 2025, we have created 88 where the time to resolution was met for 80 and 2 of them were breached. So that means that month was indeed productive in terms of agents resolving the issues themselves, or resolving the requests. And that one was really productive. But November 2025, for example, I mean, it's still November, of course, but soon December is going to be there. So yeah. And we can also see that the time to resolution that it's being breached is, well, 21. And this is the example of how you can actually create your reports. And now when I click on here, I also have the option where it basically says my report. Of course, you're not going to be creating the reports that are being called like this. Of course, it's going to be sounding more professional. Now, I also have the option to switch to list view, but I prefer more in the card view, so you can see more options in here. And ultimately, that is it that you need to know about the reports in Jira Service Management. That's it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See ya.